The first module is environment. Right, so we'll get into that. So my goals for you, I know that some of you have gotten this twice and I apologize, but are first to reduce your stress, because I think you'll agree with me that if you're stressed, it sucks, and you're probably not going to be as effective a teacher, right? Because you're a human first before you're a teacher. Kids are the same way, so I don't want you to be stressed. So when you're looking for a solution and everything's like kind of all over the place, I want you to not have that happen. So I'm trying to give you things that are pre-made, ready to go, that are solutions that are going to make you go, ah, okay, and keep loving this job. Those are concrete solutions. So just instead of saying like, try it another way, or go cite the research, I'm going to try and give you things that are already to go. And the last is obviously to empower all students to feel safe, connected, and successful. We'll talk about that later. Okay, so really quickly, your goals. Next. So I know that I've seen it in person because I've been to a lot of your classrooms in terms of student behavior. Can we just really quickly just shout out a couple of behaviors that we're especially concerned about? Oh. Tattletaling, okay. Shout out. Defiant behavior.
The catty girl cattiness.
Cattiness, okay, not interpersonal connection stuff.
Hitting.
I was just going to say kindergarten or 6th grade. Hitting, right? Those are the prevalent. Okay, so I will have a solution for you by the end of this presentation on how to deal with that. And if you don't hear it from my mouth, ask me afterwards and we can talk about it. Okay, the $1 million question. This just will set up the whole day. I wonder if people remember this. What do all students have in common? I don't care where they're from, I don't care how old they are, I don't care how smart they are, what do they all have in common? Hands?
And they all have hands.
Hands. What are they? I can't throw it, there's computers.
Don't
Amy.
talk to me. We're all driven by...
Oh, you cheated! Well, funnily enough, they're all driven by feelings or emotions. It's like crazy. How did you figure that out? Get out. So they're all driven by feelings or emotions, as are we all, because we're humans, right? We all have a limbic system. It's like a psychologist. So the emotions, God, I love that you know this from me. She knows right when to go. The emotions are their fuel. So everyone, if you think of a car, right? Whether you have a Pinto or a Benz, right? It needs fuel to go. It doesn't matter, what it is. Well, all our kids come in with a plethora of fuel. The question is it negative or positive, right? Is it going to send them careening off a cliff, or is it going to drive them right down the road to college, right? So that's the question. The good news is they all have it in them. The purpose, obviously, is to make sure that we can use that fuel and their emotions to be productive and successful. We want achievement, autonomy, and self-esteem. However, you're often left wondering, why are you doing that again, right? So we are teachers, we're logical people, right? We teach something and we're like, okay, why aren't you doing it? I've told you not to hit him in the face. I've told you, citing a child of mine, not to smear peanut butter in his nose when you know he's vastly allergic, right? It was not a good day. Not a good day. But we're like, why are you doing this again? You're gonna be awake, don't worry, okay? So, a goal is a goal, right? We have goals. You guys have SGOs. Does anyone have an SGO? So, you guys have goals. Kids have goals too. They come in just as organized, okay? As a teacher, your behavior is really getting in the way of my carefully planned lessons, right? That's kind of like our thoughts sometimes, semi-sarcastically. But for them, they're like, well, guess what, lady or man? I have my own goals, and I'm going to achieve them whether you like it or not. My goal is to make you look stupid right now. My goal is to take all your power right now. You made me look dumb in front of my friend who walked to school with me and then left, and I'm going to spend the rest of the day making sure you pay for it. That might be their goal. That's one reason. Another goal, well, guess what? My goal is not to feel upset, and I can't do this work, and I don't care if you're the most caring teacher in the world. I can't do the work. So my goal is to not look stupid, so I'm going to do everything in my power not to be in my seat doing my work. So a goal is a goal is a goal. We're going to find a way to get the kids to their goals and get us to our goals, and I'll be on the same page. I can't say goals again. It won't come out. 4 of the main reasons why students misbehave: attention, power, avoidance of failure, or revenge. So just take like a hot second to meditate on a kid. Just pick one kid that just bursts into your brain right now, I didn't say the name. Sure. I mean, if you feel, if the spirit summons you, then think of a kid, and I want you to look up here, and I want you to think, which kind of box do they fall in when they're acting that way? And I'm getting a couple of like mm-hms, like a couple of nods, right? You can kind of categorize it, right, into like, why might they be doing this, even if you don't agree with it. I fall into one of these boxes all the time with my significant other, and he with me, right? And I do things for one of these reasons, and he does. So sometimes it's very helpful to kind of come out of that adult teacher role and think like, well, why might they be doing this? When you're in front of a cop, or when you get a stupid like fine for something, you are behaving in one of these areas. It just seems more logical because you're an adult. Okay. So, like I was saying before, the first module is environment. The reason is, this is a little hokey. I just felt, me and Hoyt had a day where we just sat down and decided to do whimsical. Think earth, think foundation, so it has to start well prepared for. So you guys spend so much time planning your academic lessons. You spend so much time, making sure that you're meeting the standards and that you're differentiating and all that stuff. If we pay the same attention to social emotional learning, you'd be surprised how much more you can get done because your kids are going to be on that solid ground, right? Emotions, right, like we said before, kind of navigate that. So if you imagine trying to like balance on like lily pads in the middle of the water and pay attention to a lesson, what are you going to be able to do it? That was a horrible analogy, but imagine that you're balancing on something or you're on a tightrope or whatever. You're paying so much attention to balancing everything that you're not really going to be able to focus on what you're supposed to be taking in. Alright, so this is what this is going to help you with. Now, in the interest of time, even though I am a nerd and I own it, I'm not going to go through all the research, but it is fun. Keep going. But I will just summarize it. So we feel before we think. Just know that. That's Shane in a teacher store, pointing to his heart. So you feel before you think. So has anyone ever heard of like fight or flight? Obviously we all have, right? So if you imagine fight or flight, why does your brain do that? To protect you, exactly. You don't think about what to do, you just go. Well, the same thing happens in a kid's brain. Even though it doesn't make sense to you, you're like, oh please, you're not in any trouble. But yelling, right, or something unsafe emotionally gives them that feeling too. That's prosody. Keep going, we're going to kind of blow through this. This is interesting, but you can talk to me about it later if you feel like talking about it, joke with me. Alright, so we want to create this belonging environment in a school because we want kids to want to be here. Yes?
Yes.
Right? And it seems really obvious, right? Like, oh, obviously kids know that we want them to be there. Duh. But, kid that struggles with behavior, right? Like a Darion or like another kid, what do you spend a lot of your time doing during the day with those kids? Yelling at them, maybe. Paying them a lot of attention. But a lot of it is critiquing, right? How many people like to be criticized or critiqued? I'm a masochist. Actually, there's a part of me that does and a part of me that doesn't. But not a lot of people do. And kids that come to school every day and are like redirected and then, oh my God, and why are you doing this and this, that, and the other. We're not bad people, right? That's just like, we don't understand it. But to them, that's not a place where they belong. You ever see a kid who's really good at basketball and not so good at school, and like 14 of them get on a basketball court after school? They're like a whole different person. It's like Clark Kent, like, here I am. This is the real me. Because they're great at that, and they feel confident, they feel like they belong. So the opposite is like, where do kids go when they really need to belong and they can't find it at home or at school? Gangs, right? They do peer pressure, right? They do things in class. Right? I'm going to belong with you because you're my friend and we're both making fun of the teacher. Aren't I cool now? So if we can make them feel like they belong and like they're safe by giving them this supportive environment, trust me, it works wonders. So, now that I'm done babbling about philosophy, concrete strategies. We're going to practice. I'm going to give you like 30 hot seconds for each one. It'll be fun and you'll actually get to say it. Okay, so I'm going to give you, and this is in your packet. So I'm going to give you concrete strategies for 4 things. De-escalating a kid, correcting a kid, prompting for problem solving, and then a graceful exit. Can I just get either an amen or a show of hands if that would be helpful? Okay, thank you. Okay, good. See, has anyone realized that I've had a fidget this whole time? Anyone else? Does anyone realize that?
Yeah.
Okay, just putting that out there. Okay. De-escalation. So, more so in the upper grades than the lower grades. Sometimes with the lower grades it's more just general whining and there's no real language skills being used. But in the upper grades there can be a variety of languages used to banter back and forth. So, these are some very helpful kind of sentence starters for you to just know and kind of literally have in your back pocket for when this happens. First of all, I'm very sorry you feel that way. So again, my strategy is always, even if you're really angry at the kid, say it sarcastically in your head and just don't say it sarcastically through your voice. So like, even if the kid is totally out of line and they've just done something completely disrespectful, you can still see that the little human inside of them is upset for whatever reason. When they get out into the hallway or when they come to the side with you, starting with, first of all, you might have to do this like, first of all, I'm really sorry you feel that way. And it actually throws kids off if you're just shifting, right? Like, first of all, you were totally out of line. Totally out of line. Schmidt, completely out of line. What were you thinking? Difference. First of all, I'm really sorry you feel that way. I'm sorry that happened. Right? So it's different. I'm not going to not correct them. I'm not going to not pay very close attention to the actual thing that happened, but I'm going to start human to human. Secondly, I hear what you're saying. How many people in a relationship or other with a friend just don't feel like anyone's ever just hearing what you're saying? Just talking at you? Hopefully you don't feel that way right now. Okay? So, I hear what you're saying. So the kid gives their side of it, again, even if it's completely wrong. Smilanis, I hear what you're saying. Usually preceded by or what's the word after that? Usually followed by a, however, that's not appropriate in school. Like, I hear what you're saying. She is a horrible human being. I hear what you're saying. You really don't like her. But right now we need to really respect each other's personal space. Okay. The next is echoing. Right? So you're saying that she called you a poo-poo head and then spilled your lunch all over the floor. Am I correct? And again, sometimes they give you some comic relief just to actually say what they said, and then you can get them to repeat it, right? So that's also kind of fun. So, Karen, you're saying that he called you a poo-poo head, right? Okay, and then he threw your lunch on the floor.
He slammed my lunch on the floor.
He slammed, okay. So he called you a poo-poo head, and then he slammed your lunch on the floor.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. And then we go from there. So we have all the facts. And again, it takes you out of that, like, teacher, student, like, it puts you back in, they're your client. You're simply the lawyer trying to really solve their case. You just need all the facts. Okay. Of course you do. Yes.
So like what happens when you go through that and the thing that they're telling you they're upset about, like really never happens.
But we'll get to that. I got you. It's always the girl with the lollipop. It's indicated. Alright. See, what color is that lollipop one? Okay. So, I need you to. Another really simple semantic that makes a lot of difference, right? So we all want to be what? Beautiful, skinny girl. We all want to be needed, right? But in school, sometimes, again, we want that to be the case. But sometimes the kids, they don't feel that way. So when you say, like, do this, it makes sense. We live in a logical world. You need to do this. Like, why wouldn't you do this? Duh. But if you say, like, hey, I need you to do this, all of a sudden they're, like, kind of important. Like, oh my God, Miss Lowry needs me. Right, so it adds just that tiny little bit of humanity back into the situation. Could you help me? Same exact thing. Helps with kindergartners a lot, right? Could you help me pick up these blocks? All of a sudden, cleaning up has become this humanitarian act, right? Where they feel very, very important. You can also use it for like some display. Listen, can you just help me solve this? I really know that you're angry right now. I have a headache. Can you come help me solve this? Because I really care about your opinion. Can you come help me? It's not always going to work, but these are options in your pockets. This is another cool semantic. So a lot of the time we say like out in the hall or like come talk to me over here, and we know why we're doing it, right? We are protecting their privacy. We want to remove the audience. We don't want them to be embarrassed, but sometimes they consider that like a discipline right then and there. Like, you can't possibly be on my side. You ripped me out into the hallway. So, instead of get out into the hallway, it becomes, who have I not? Mr. Brown. I can see it. I can see that you're upset. Can we just go into the hallway? Because I really want to respect your privacy. Right? No? Really? So, again, they might not do it, but the point is, you're still phrasing it in a way that puts them as the center of your need for action. It's not the other way around. It's not you the center of the need for action. They are. So, we're going to practice for 1 minute. Just turn to the person next to you. You actually have the prompts right there on your sheet. And I want you to, again, imagine you're in a situation and just you're going to go back and forth. We're going to go for literally 1 minute. Completely forgot to teach the callback. My bad. When we do these practice sessions, I'm going to clap like this. And your response is, woosah! Because that is the point of today, is we're trying to have a woosah day so we can come back on Monday. So let's practice it once. Woosah! All right, we can do better than that. All right, next. Okay, correct and connect. Oldie but goodies, love this one. So this is, again, a very simple semantic. It's a logic thing. It's an order thing. This is the only part of math I have in my brain. We do this all the time. We redirect. It's a good thing to do because kids need to be redirected. However, sometimes what happens is we redirect the kid, like personally, not the action. Yes, of course, exactly. She's right there. Not the action. And it doesn't seem like we do, but again, it happens. So a simple rule of thumb, and I always use this story when I'm doing this. Can you go to the next slide real quick? Is to remember which section. Think of it as two-pronged, right? So there's the correct, and then there's the connect. A lot of the time we just do the correct, right? So has anyone ever tried to assemble IKEA furniture? Yeah. Okay, it ain't pretty. Unless you're...
I'm good at it.
Yeah, you and Shane can just get out, because it's not fun. I don't care how you slice it. Exactly. You're probably very logical. He was an engineer. I can't do it. So they come with like 5 million bajillion pieces and a hieroglyph and these tiny little thimble tools which you're supposed to assemble an armoire with. In my case, it was a very simple 3-drawer dresser. So after 90 minutes of trying to assemble this tiny 3-drawer dresser, I got slightly angry. I had a hammer. Now, what is a hammer used for? What is it? Right, well, okay, let's take out the person. What is a hammer supposed to be used for? Building things, putting things together. So, unfortunately, I know, I'm going to prove it, right? So, I took the hammer and in my rage, put it right through the back of the dresser. It was like a Bugs Bunny. Like, you just saw it was a perfect hammer, imprint right in the back of the dresser. Dresser was totally unusable. Yeah.
Serve that dresser right.
Exactly. I really got back at that dresser. So the point is, I had a tool that was supposed to be productive. Much like our directions, right? Our directions, our redirections, whatever it is, are supposed to be productive. But if we say them in a certain way, or with a certain kid, they can be just as destructive as the actual mistake that they made. So if I go, stop calling out. What is the last thing I said? Calling out. Now, we want our kids to listen to us, right? Great. They're going to continue calling out, because that's the last thing you said. You're a teacher, remember? You're teaching. So the last thing that you said was calling out. Secondly, how do you feel? Horrible. Not so good, right? Not so good. So if I switch it and I add a correct, if I add a connect to the end of that, it cushions the blow. So if I say instead, hey Lynette, I need you to raise your hand so I can hear you probably have a great idea. I just need you to raise your hand for that. What's the last thing I said? Raise your hand. I gave them what I wanted them to do, right? And I added a connect. I added something subjectively that it's going to try and pull them into wanting to work for me, right? So the beginning is the correct, and it should be objective, right? You can say, instead of calling out, I need you to raise your hand. So that's the correct. But then at the end, add some fuzzy connect. say it sarcastically in your head, like, you son of a gun, I'll tell you. I'm sure you have a great idea. Right? And again, you can really go home, get in front of the mirror, work on your psychotic smiles. It's a great thing to do. Add, life to your face. But it's very helpful. So, for the next minute, I want you to practice that. Remember, our callback is woosah. That was you. Are we ready? All right. Forgot to go there last night. Sorry about that. Okay. Lindsay will give you candy after. All right. So, executive questioning. Again, this is my nerd brain going on. This is like awesome brain biology stuff, right? So, your executive functioning is the command and control center of your brain, right? So it basically organizes everything like a well-practiced symphony. Kids in school tend to want who to do the work? You. They want us to do the work. They want us to solve the problem, help, which we're more than willing to do. However, when they leave us, not so functional, right? Great if they don't understand the math that you're doing and you help them. But when they can process through a problem themselves, not only does it take you out of the bad guy situation, but it empowers them to do it again and again and again. Like a mistake that we sometimes catch ourselves in, and I do it constantly, I still do it today, is the word why. So right now, I just want you to imagine that you have a red permanent marker, and I did this once, and you write why on the back of your hand, put a big red circle, and cross it out. Anytime that you start a student prompt when you're processing with them with the word why, what's the only thing they can say to you?
Because.
Defend themselves.
They can defend themselves? What else? I don't know. What else?
They did it first.
Because, so right, exactly. So I did it first and because. What are those both?
Excuses.
They're both excuses. Right? So if you say why, it sends the kid this way. It sends them backwards. You can't get anything functional. Now, what stinks is that's how we're wired. Why would you do that? There's a great commercial out right now from like some washing machine company, and it just has a mom like, why, what, how? Like all she's doing is saying these words. It's great. So we know that it comes to your brain immediately. We're going to try and trick ourselves out of that because, check this out, if you use, and this is like really research-based, if you use these words instead, can I interest you in what, possibly how, where, or who, it actually makes it their job to solve the problem. It's crazy. And when you wait for them to do that, which is almost as hard as not saying why, because you're like, how could you solve this? Take longer. Right? So it's hard. You have to practice giving them time. And it's okay if you're teaching to give them a whiteboard. And be like, I am excited about your idea. I gotta go teach. Let me know. Raise your limb. Right? So, here's some examples. Are you crying yet? Are you crying yet? Yes, I am. Oh, good. I'm ahead of you. I had a woman at a conference who cried. She had to actually leave and come back. It was the best day of my life. Okay, so some examples. What can you do to fix this? So instead of like, why did you do that? Where you're going to have a whole 10-minute conversation about, I hate the school, he's a fart head, I don't understand, you hate me. What can we do to fix it? Right? Like, let's just move on. Let's like save the fight for another day. How do you feel? Again, bringing them back to that human place. Right? I'll never forget it, and we'll talk about this when we get to the event sheets, how I had a kid write, well, my grandmother died in the car on the way to school today. Didn't know that, right? That's going to make this little episode we just had in class a little bit more contextual, right? So they may be feeling a certain way. They may not be. Who knows? If you say it, they might give it to you. Where can you find that? Right? So instead of giving them the answer, how many times do we yell at kids for helping each other and giving each other the answer? Right? Stop doing it. So don't give them the answer. Point them to the index. Where can you find that? Or like, if they're mad, like, where can you go when you're angry? Or like, what could you use to help you? And you're going to have stuff now, by the way. And then who else at school or at home could help you with this? You're teaching, you're busy, great. There's lots of other people, even kids, right? So like, who could help you with this? You're really good friends with this girl, right? Can you talk it out with her? Like, You guys have great ideas together. You blow me away. Camaraderie, right? Blow me away. Great idea. Wonderful processing. Get back to class. I didn't do a thing. I sat there. That's a fabulous idea, right? I didn't really do it. But the point is, let them be empowered to actually take control and create a solution. So, this is what we're going to do for another 30, 45 seconds. One person is going to have a problem. You are only allowed to say those 4 words and then sentences after it. You're only allowed to say how, what, who, or where. You're not allowed to say anything else in the beginning of your sentence, and you are not allowed to answer or give advice. No advice given. Okay. Go.
I made you get a hard joke.
Oh, we need another woosah. Show that again. Woosah. You need to exhale the whole thing. All right. So that's another way, right? Love you guys, but another way, if you don't get your whole class to call back immediately, right? Instead of this, like, ah! Right? I used to jokingly say, like, teachers would make, like, the greatest, like, they would just stop all day, right? But instead of doing it again, instead of doing it again for that reason, right? Correct and connect, you can just be like, we can do that better. Let's try it again. And then, like, actually, like, compliment the one kid or whatever that did it the best and get all the attention to that kid instead of the fact that they didn't do it. All right. Speaking of didn't do it, I'm a horrible timekeeper. It's already 2:40 and I'm nowhere near done. So we're going to kind of speed this along just so we can get to the rest of it. So good practicing. Next.
Wait.
The last one, we can speed through this. These are just some helpful strategies for if that kid is just pulling and tugging and pulling and tugging and you're just like, this isn't going to work right now. These are some graceful exit strategies. Remove the audience, right? So have the kid go away from the other kids that he's or she is kind of performing for. Table the matter or call a timeout. Hey, can we just put this aside? Can you just write it down and we can remember it later? We'll argue later, but I can't do it right now. Remind me and then we'll argue. Schedule a conference, same thing, make them feel very important. I used to have a date book. I'd be like, listen, I can fit you in at 3:05. It won't be bothered. Okay, agree with the student. You are absolutely right to be very angry, even though you have no idea what you're talking about. Let's talk about it later. State both viewpoints. Or take a teacher timeout, right? So teacher times out are kind of funny sometimes. I used to stare at the wall. So like if they were just doing whatever, I'd be like, oh my gosh, this class is so awesome. They have so much to say. They really do. I wonder what I'm doing later today. Maybe I should go to shower. Like I don't want to make soup, but I don't know if that onion smelled really weird yesterday. And I like timed completely out, like as if I wasn't even there, and they all shut up. They were like, what is she doing? And it only worked for a while, because then they realized I was crazy and then it didn't work anymore. But you pick your poison. All right. So, we're not going to practice. I am. So, this is really important. I'm going to try and go through it quickly, but we know that's impossible. The rebuilding area. Now, a lot of you got these lovely things. Okay? So, kindergarten through first grade already should have rebuilding areas that are all ready to go for you because you're busy people. Second grade, you guys will get them in this form, which we'll talk about later. And third grade through sixth grade, you're going to have it on paper because you don't need people messing with Velcro in your classroom. Why is a rebuilding area important? Because when you're upset, staying right exactly where you are, where the problem is happening and the lava is flowing, is often only going to make things worse, right? How many times in your life have you just been like, I need a second, right? Like, I can't, like, this isn't going to work right now, I need a second, give me a second. So, give kids that same opportunity, right? Give them an area, respect that, and prepare for it. Why do I call it the rebuilding area? Very simple. So, can I borrow this? Kids, when they make mistakes, they think they're what? Bad people, dumb, they think you don't love them anymore. They really do. I've had many kids tell me this. Okay, so what I do is to introduce this concept, right? So like when you guys go back on Monday or whenever, when you want to introduce this, because you must teach this directly. You must actually say, okay guys, here's what we're going to do. Because in your head you may be like, oh great, I have this great thing, let me just give it to them. but they don't know how to work it. They don't know the process. They don't know the procedure, right? Just like we have to teach them how to pick a good, what?
Just right.
Thank you. How to pick a just right book. We have to teach them, how do I rebuild? How do I process? What's the procedure for this? So, this is how I do it. Have fun. All right, guys. I'm the best builder ever. This is my stuff. I love it. It's all broken. And then I continue to have a temper tantrum. And then some lovely child says, and it was Abraham, it's Kendall! Get it together. It's fine. Just put it together again. He did. I wish that it was streaming video then, but it wasn't. So you get one of your children to save the day and be like, it's cool. We'll just rebuild it. So kindergartners, you can do this with blocks. 6th grade, you can do it with something real. Do it with your phone. Kids are great with phones. Be walking around the classroom, pretend like something happened. Oh my God, I just lost all my pictures of my daughter's graduation. This is predominant. And lose your mind, and then have them save you. Works really well with fiancés too, right? If you want to. Right? So make it so that they are actually thinking of how we're going to do this, because then they're going to be the experts, and you're just along for the show. You're just watching them be brilliant. Okay? So we say, well, hold on. Is it possible to fix this situation? Yes. What do we have to do? We have to rebuild it. The blocks didn't disappear. They didn't melt, right? They didn't fly off into the Ben Franklin Bridge. We still have all the good stuff. We just have to take the time to rebuild it, and then it'll be brand new. Just like you guys. You guys are brilliant, wonderful children. Right? You're brilliant, wonderful children. All of the good stuff is still there. So when you make a mistake, no big deal. We just rebuild it. We're not losing any part of you. I'm not letting any part of you fly out of this room. Not your heart, not your feet, whatever it is. You are staying in here, and we are rebuilding you even better. And then they get excited about it. So they're like, oh, no big deal. It fell apart. I'm just going to rebuild it. I fall apart all the time. I often tell my kids, I fell apart yesterday. This was the problem. Can you help me rebuild myself? And then they're like, oh, yeah, I got you. And they'll do it. Okay? So, you can also do cool things. I don't know if you've noticed about what colors that I have, right? So I do a lot of behavior stuff with visual, red, yellow, and green. I know that you guys can do that sometimes too. The rebuilding area uses that. So you can say, and Megan, some wonderful self-contained teacher, often does this. You can say, I had these choices, this happened, right? Then I did this, but what do I want to do now? Ta-da! Right? And you have this wonderful, I totally stole that from you. Okay, so, how are we going to do this? That's Quincy. He's giant now. So in the background, this was 1,000,000 years ago, we had the rebuilding area in my classroom. Okay. So, you guys all have it. It looks like this. The reason is, keep going. Oh, by the way, if you want to do something really fun, eventually, you actually take pictures of your kids doing, the emotion faces, and they love acting out the disrespectful choices. Right? And then the other one. Okay. So, the procedure, very simple. I'm actually just going to do it for you because that picture is really fuzzy. Right? So, you're rebuilding. You also should have a processing board. Right? If you don't have something like this, again, they can do it on paper. You're also going to get this on paper. So, I feel, again, you're teaching. Very important job. Let them solve their own problem. Hey, it really looks like you're upset. Do you want to rebuild? I think you can rebuild. This is a really good time to rebuild. And prompt it. We're going to get to vent and rent later, right? But prompt this. Tell them they can do it. You got it. Send them over to the area, the corner. Again, I made this movable in case your room moves. Then, you can just put it wherever you'd like. They can even, maybe even do it. I don't really want them to do it in the hallway. But they can do it, if you have one of those classrooms with that little, before the door, where it's, thinner and your instructions going on over here. They have a little privacy now. Okay. So, they look and they're like, how do I feel? I feel mad. Okay? Pull off mad. Social worker on the go-go. Right? This is exactly what this is. This is what Mr. Hoyt does. This is what I do. This is what Mr. Brown does. All we're doing is processing, but now they can do it themselves. Right? It's like oodles of noodles. No microwave needed. I feel mad. What did I do that was maybe not such a good choice? Maybe yellow, maybe even red. I chose to hit somebody. Where is it? I chose to touch someone. Okay, now what do you notice about this block? It's very visual, people. What is it? It's broken. There's something missing. What's missing? The correct choice. Okay, so you're going to tell them, like, I want you to pick what you did, but you see there needs to be a solution. We need to find the piece that fits that's going to rebuild this into a strong tower. That's the reason for these shapes, by the way, if you're wondering. Okay, so I chose to. You're also giving them a script. So when you want them to process or reprocess with you, they can just read it right off their chart. Now, for kindergartners, first graders, even in the beginning, all these are just good choices. But in the next module, in ability, these will very slowly but surely be replaced with social skills, which are even better. Okay? So, very basically though, if I touch others, I want to keep safe hands. So they're going to pick it, and magically, it fits. Right? And now it's this beautiful, very Christmas-esque tower. Okay? And then they can say, well, I felt mad. I chose to touch someone. That was my choice. But now that I'm calm, I know that I can choose to keep safe hands. Now, if they're really little, they need the visual, they can even take this with them, put it on their desk. This is what I want to do. How many times a day do you remind a kid, hey, keep safe hands. Keep safe hands. Hey, keep safe hands. Well, you don't have to waste your voice. You can just put it right on their desk. It's a picture, it's words, it's a beautiful thing. Okay, keep going. Keep going. So we just did all that. Praise is good. Even if they're making a mistake, if they get themselves to the rebuilding area, or they even look like they're, yes, excellent, I love that's a win. I say that all the time, I'm a sports nut, right? So I was like, that's a win. That's a win. Damalo, yesterday, right? 3 days he was sent home, throwing chairs, throwing books, hitting people, kicking the walls. You name it, he did it. But when he was angry, he made a fist. And I caught him like right the hair before. This is the greatest power move ever, by the way. And I said, hey, you're angry. I get it. You're making a fist. I make them all the time. But instead of punching the wall, what could you do? Raise your hand. Ask to rent. Ask to come. Ask to rebuild. And he went, I need to rent. Yes, that's a win. Hallelujah. Right? That's a win. That's a win. Right? Because the fist did not hit the wall. It didn't hit a face. It didn't hit a kid. It didn't throw a book. It didn't hit a chair. It went up in the air and it said, I need to rent. I don't care if they say, I need to rent. Fine, you're angry. It's a win. He came. He vented. We put a giant green sticker on it. We sent it over to Mom. We called Mom. He had a great day. Because that was a win. And you need a win to start winning. Right? You need to feel what it feels like to win. So even if it's the most minuscule, tiny step in the right direction, praise the tiny, minuscule step in the right direction. Okay. So for middle school, you're not going to have this lovely, like, pull off the Velcro stickers, yada yada. You guys are going to have just an area. So just designate a space, right? So I know that's a hard thing to do here. But designate a place, a chair with a little pillow on it, a folder, someplace, make it a pillow, right, in permanent marker, rebuilding pillow, and have them move it somewhere, but give them a space where they're actually going to be giving you the correct action. So do you want to rebuild? Great. Go get the rebuilding pillow, bring it over here. Go get the rug, bring it over here. Go to the rebuilding space. So again, keep going. Again, this is just a way, if you don't have space to shrink it down, you can make a card deck or a folder. You could do this, and again, just have it travel with the person that's using it. Okay. Solution sheets. How bad am I? What time is it? Okay. Okay. So, you've seen these. I gave these to you before. I cleaned them up. I made them even better. I'm doing action research every day on the ground, seeing what's working. I had Kamari and Ramir yesterday. I had them do it, and I said, how could this be better? And they went, what? And I went, did you misunderstand me? I said, how can my work be better? Please fix my work. And they were like, I don't understand. I was like, okay, you're the client. You're the student, correct? I work here, right? Helping you get your education. Okay. So I need you to process. You just did. You were confused about some parts. I know you're terribly smart. Tell me how to do it better. And they went. So you're saying you want us to tell you how to make it better? And I was like, yes. They were like, and then they did, and it's better. Okay, so it's a lot better. You'll see. By the way, just a moment of zen. Roberto, very angry, in the ISS room the other day, is completing his rebuilding sheet alongside of Elijah completing his rebuilding sheet. Elijah runs out of room and says, Miss Kendall, I ran out of room. Can I just write this? And I wanted him to expand upon what he was saying. And Roberto, because he has two fabulous teachers, goes, you could put a carrot. You could put a carrot and add the sentence. I was like, it takes vast amounts of self-control not to be like, and he showed Elijah, you could put a carrot and just add the sentence. I rebuild all the time. I wanted to make my kids shirts that said, I'm an awesome rebuilder. So anyway, you see what I'm saying. So, the purpose of the environment module is to give you things that made you less stressful, to give you things that were already there, that were already done for you, and to make your kids more, oh, we got 3. Criers. More effective. So, in your packet, go to the next slide. Okay, go to the next one. So, venting. Both grade levels have vent sheets, they just look different. I gave you all of them to differentiate. So if your kid is a 5th grader and they need the kindergarten vent sheet because they need the picture prompts, that's fine. You can just scratch off the top or whatever. So I gave everybody everything. Don't be overwhelmed. You can just look at the top corner and see what grade level it's supposed to be for. So kindergarten, again, all they're doing to vent. By the way, I totally watched over what venting was. What is a vent?
Blows air.
Blows out air. Out. Right? So I tell that to kids. I actually used to have a vent. I would have the kids put their hand in front of the vent. Not in the vent. I learned that the hard way. Okay, put your hand in front of the vent. What do you feel? Or I would go like this. What do you feel? You feel air. Often hot air. Right? So what is a vent? It's a place for you to get the air out. And I say when I'm really angry, and you can actually talk biology with your kids. Say when you're really, really angry, what do you feel? What, do you feel hot or cool? When you're really angry, you feel hot. Because you got your blood boiling. What color is blood? Red. Right? So you're boiling hot. You got your boiling hot blood. Sometimes, what do you need? If you're really hot and you want to cool off, what could help you cool off?
A fan.
A fan. Right? So it's going to get all that air out on you. So I say a vent is, it's a way to get it out. Right now, this is also a fun thing to say. What's the wrong way to get it out? Scream, curse, throw, you can act it all out. Right? But here's the right way. So for Damalo, it was, take the vent sheet. Please take it. Right? Just get it out. He was throwing chairs. So I said, Damalo, draw yourself throwing a chair on the vent sheet. Curse on the vent sheet. Kids are always like, what? Yes, I did. Curse on the vent sheet.
How do you spell?
Exactly. But that's okay. But that's okay. And I'm glad that you brought that up. I am. I'm glad that you brought that up because Roberto already did it. He already did it. He already tested it. He got so excited. And again, this is your judgment call. You don't have to say that. He was like, ooh, I can curse. And he spent like 10 minutes just thinking about what curse word he was going to write. Mind you, all of his missed work was sitting there. Recess is about to happen. He's like, oh, I gotta go. And I'm like, opportunity cost. Like, you spent all your time wondering. So, but that's okay. Because the whole point is, yes, I'm going to allow you to do this. Because you're doing it in the proper way. Right? You can write the horrible, mean, hurt feelings that you have. They're not going to be pretty. Right? If you feel disrespected, it's not going to be pretty. But put it on the paper so I can understand. Don't say it out loud. Don't write it on the wall. Write it here. Let me comfort you by showing you that I care about you so much. I'm going to give you a place for you to write down what's bothering you the most, what's most important to you, so that you don't get in trouble. Because I care about you, and I want you here, and I don't want you to leave my room. So please stay in my room and put it on the paper for me. Like, that's belonging. That's how you keep kids in the room. Okay. So, again, because they're kindergartners, not so much with the writing, they can draw a picture of what happened. This is awesome. Because you will see things on that picture where you're like, what? Like, you'll see it from their perspective, right? And then on the bottom, because they haven't messed up yet, the whole point of an event is to get it out before it explodes. So, okay, cool. Anastasia, what could you do to help yourself now? I could listen again, and again, and again, right? Okay, so they're going to circle what they could do. And then on the bottom, it's a star. Use a social skill. When you start teaching them social skills, you're going to have them to use. Next. This is the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. It just looks different because there's more lines, right? So I'm feeling my line of choice from now until the rest of my life. Does anyone know it? It's up there. Help me understand. That, I would have it tattooed to my arm if I was that crazy. See, I'm actually not. I don't have it tattooed to my arm. So help me understand, right? So no matter what you want to say to the kid, no matter what they've done, help me understand. Like, that's the first, and again, say whatever you want in your head, but let that come out. Help me understand. Next. And on the back, what it says up here is how to do it appropriately. So go back one. So they could write all kinds of nonsense. Is that on this side? Then I've given them a way to say it appropriately. Excuse me, you are going to give them a way to say it appropriately while you're teaching. Does everyone know that this is happening while you're teaching? This is all while you're teaching. You're not doing this with them. That's why it's the environment module. It's already done for you. I wasn't comfortable with the way you blank. Damalo, yet again, writes on his bench sheet when Miss Miller took away his like green ball thing. Whatever. I didn't like the way you acted, Miss Miller. Cool, great, no problem, right? That's not disrespectful. He's just communicating. I do not like your face. It might not be a nice thing to say, but he said it nicely. Okay, so I'm feeling I would rather you. That one's, I have a favorite one. I would rather you not put your finger. Could you please, right? So, but seriously, you're giving them ways to say it appropriately. And then, you're also giving them some social skills. These are my choice social skills that they will learn in the next module. Okay. You're not going to get to watch the clip. He's really cute, though. Okay. Rent. I say all the time to kids, when I get really, really angry, I'm an adult, I have this thing called an apartment, or house, where I can just go and I can lock the whole world out, right? I can just, I don't care, I had a bad day, crack open a cold seltzer, and go in my room and just deal with it. Guess what? Kids don't have that choice. They're in school, they have to be in front of you the entire day in a cramped little classroom. They don't like that. I don't know if you've noticed. So when they get angry, give them the luxury of communicating that they need space. Because guess what? They're going to tell you anyway. It's either going to look like this, or like this, or like this, or like, right? It's going to look a certain way. Give them a way to do it appropriately, right? So for kindergarten and 2nd grade, there's fun ways you can give space without space. You can use a carol, right? Boxes are great for that. You can give them a little space where they feel like they have a little visual delineation. You can give them a, I didn't realize this rhymed, by the way. This is how nuts I am. A special space, a quiet place, a hidden face. Dead seriously, I had no idea that rhymed. Okay. Drugs are good. Okay, so rent a quiet space. I meant Tylenol. So you can use headphones so that they feel like there's not as much noise, or you can give them sunglasses. Again, you know, you're giving them just a way to kind of create a barrier. The next one is for 3rd through 6th. The whole point is if you're that angry, so I actually created Rent for one kid 5 years ago. For one kid, because you could never manage to get it on paper before exploding. So I was like, you just need some space. You just need to rent some space. So all this is, you'll notice there's no back to this. There's nothing that they have to write. All they're doing is circling. Because I just want a clue as to why you're flipping out. And it's going to be for one of these reasons. I didn't feel like I belonged. I felt physically unsafe. You didn't see it, but the kid was flicking me in the back this entire time. I don't understand the work, or I feel distracted. 99.9% of the reason why kids are acting out is probably going to fit in that box. But if it doesn't, they can always write it on the back. So the whole point is that they take the sheet, circle one, give it to you, and ask you for space. And then you give them space. You can say, again, go put the headphones on, go chill over there, sit at my desk, go right around the corner, go right in this area of the hallway, let me know when you're ready. And now on the paper you have an indication as to why. So you can quickly see that. Does that make sense? Okay. Click on that, let's see if it'll work. And then we'll take a break. Let's see what one.
Let's just keep going.
Go.
Will it work? Oh my god, this is the first time that'll work. If it works. Cross your fingers. Legs, eyes, if you're comfortable with it. Anybody know something? Okay, while that's going, does anyone have...
What song?
Oh my god, perfect example, perfect. Stand up, my love. In case you haven't officially met the fabulous man in orange, this is Kaleo Brown. Round of applause. Kaleo Brown is our student support officer. I don't like officer, but he's our awesome guy. Ooh, I like that. Student support specialist. That's official. Okay, so he's going to be working in the student support office / ISS area. We'll go into that later. Okay, meet Jalen. Don't pay attention now. Let's see my room.
Yeah, turn on the speakers. Up front.
These are the ones on the desktop, too.
I got nothing. So if you see, it's like a little Chinese door, right? Like it's a little room separator thing, where all I did was they just went there, there's a little pillow in there, and they just literally got some space, right? So if you don't have room for that, that's fine, but a Carol will do the same exact thing. Okay, you don't have to have a mitt in your classroom. However, I had some really aggressive kids, and they liked to hit each other in the beginning of the year, so I simply gave them an option to get their anger out. That seems really dangerous. It's not. Because if you're like, cool, you're that angry, you have to hit something, here, hit this. And what you didn't hear him say, because I was talking over him, was, okay, get out of that, because there's an MMA fight right there. Don't pay attention to me. So, what he would have just told you was, you have to raise your hand and ask if you hit the pad 5 times, you have to hit it 5 times and only 5 times, and then you put it down and you go back to work. And I do have streaming video of one of my giant kids going like, Can I hit the pad 5 times? Yes. And the other thing that happens is that all of our kids, again, we're all in the same community, we know the procedure, so they all expected it. So it's not like he's distracting the class, because he's going to hit it. The kid's going to be yelling like that anyway, distracting them for longer if you don't have a procedure. So Savion would be like, And then we get back to work, right? But it was a beautiful thing because we had a space for it, he did it, and they got it out. Alright, so, rebuild, we already went through this, good, keep going. I know, I just feel bad on people sitting around. Not sitting around, you know what I mean. Okay, so when a child needs to rebuild and you don't think that, like for the older kids or the younger kids, the reason that I created this sheet was for when the younger kids come to Kaleo or I, depending on who's there, we want them to make sure that they know that this is not fun. Your room should be fun. Your room is where we want them to be. We don't want there to be, he's a cool guy, I want to talk to him all the time. They're not going to sit there and talk to him. They're going to do it on this sheet. So the whole point is they're going to test, right? They already started. Ooh, a new person. But trust me, ask Darion, ask Elijah. They don't like being in there because they realize pardon my French, crap, there's a bunch of work on the wall, there's some expectations, there's nothing else around, I gotta sit here and do this packet, I changed my mind, sorry, peace, let me go back to class. Alright, so that's the whole point. So we're gonna have them process. So, boom, boom, boom. Again, kindergarten, first, second, they're gonna draw it. This happened first, this was my red choice, this is what I did second. Fancy ABA terms, right? What? Sorry. I thought I messed it up. Go back. So if you do like an ABC chart, right, it's antecedent, behavior, consequence, right? That's basic, that's basic behavioral processing. They're doing an ABC chart, right, except they're doing it as kindergartner. So what was the antecedent? Because when we look at this later, this is going to be documentation for Mr. Roth. These are great for parent-teacher conferences. It's also great for holding kids accountable. They're processing it. What was the antecedent? You're not going to say that to Antonasia, but you're going to say, what happened first? What was your red choice? Now, in your copies, this isn't red, but if you want, you can always have them use a crayon. And then what happened after? What was the consequence or the effect? For kindergartners, I'm so excited about this part. They're not going to know how to write the words immediately, so they're going to circle, right? I feel, and if anyone notices, this is the exact same thing that's on the board. Boom, my red choice was boom. Next slide. However, if you take this, now you're actually practicing writing. Because they're going to take the word that they circled, they're going to write it on the sheet.
That script wasn't that fun anyway.
Yeah, I know. It's weird, guys. Okay, now I chose to, whatever they did, because, now they're not going to know necessarily why, but they could draw a picture of it, and the picture is in a thought bubble, because we talked about, like, I think this thing called, like, metacognition. We talked about this, I don't know. But we want them to metacognate not only about their reading, but about their behavior and their choices. So you're going to have them metacognate on this paper by drawing it, and then they're going to write it. I wanted, very important. Darian wrote the best thing ever. You'll see.
You still haven't showed me.
I will. It's ready. Okay, so what did they want? No. So now they're going to analyze. Okay, so they're going to analyze. These are the 3 hinge pin reasons that you want them to know their behavior was not okay. 1, it was unsafe to myself and others. Everyone say that. Unsafe.
Unsafe.
Okay, 2, it stopped the teaching and learning. So it stopped the teaching and learning. And 3, it disrespected someone as a member of our community. Okay? So, how did it make the other person feel? Trust me, they don't want to do 6 pages of processing. But we're going to have them do it because we love them. But they're really going to hate it. But when they see this process, they're going to be like, wow, they're not yelling at me. They're not disrespecting me. They're really serious about what I'm doing. It's better to just answer the question properly. I mean, my goodness, this is ridiculous. Right? It's like health insurance. I'm kidding. Okay? And also, you can come back to it later, right? You can come back and be like, I'm noticing, right? Like a good behavior analyst, a good social worker, a good psychologist, right? You're going to go back through this. I'm noticing I want a lot of the same thing. When you go to have a kid like on a behavior plan, or when you go to like have a parent-teacher conference, Miss Smith, look at all these rebuilding sheets that I have from Johnny. He's often wanting this, or he'll notice the kid's hungry every single day at 12:02. Okay, let's have a graham cracker save the day, right? And you never would have known it, but now you have this convenient way of having this great information channel. Same exact thing, build a solution. So here are the things we can do. We're going to get to these next. And then, this is the same for kindergarten as it is for 3rd through 6th. It's just a little bit different the way it is. This, they're going to rip off. So when they come to Kaleo or me, if they do this, we keep their packet so that we have it as documentation. They rip off this solution action plan. And they take it back to class. So it's going to say, instead of hitting the person in the face, I'm going to raise my hand and ask to have a conference. Did I do it? ... How many times can I show my action? So here is for you to give them little happy faces, little stickers, little checks, whatever, little initials like their reading log, to hold them accountable, not to badger into their head, oh my God, we just talked about this, Audrey. Are you serious? We just talked about this. I just said keep your hands to yourself. No, it's not going to do anything. But I could be like, Audrey. No, 2 seconds after she comes in. Look, she didn't even have a chance to sit next to anyone. She just sat down. Audrey, you kept your hands to yourself. Excellent job. Right? She didn't do anything. She didn't really show it. But I want her to want that instead of wanting attention the other way. Does that make sense? Okay, so we want to pull for the proper attention for the right action. So, again, it's not going to be colored on yours, but you can feel free to have them do it so they understand. Then, they sign. I am ready to come back to class and be the best I can. Again, this is a very positive thing. We're happy. Great, you're back. Boom. And then they have the date. For 3rd to 6th, it's the exact same thing minus the pictures. So they're going to do what happened. I felt I chose because I wanted. Teachers, you can have fun with the re, you know what I mean? Like in terms of language. So we say rebuild, remember, rethink. Right? Boom, same thing. And then again, at the bottom of their sheet. Next time I feel blank, instead of blanking, I will blank. Next, they rewrite it, which is really annoying to them. And they bring it back to class. And then you hold them accountable in a positive way. Does anyone notice what's not on there?
Their bad choice.
Again, invisible piece of chocolate for you. Okay, their bad choice. That's what he said. He said their bad choice. So there isn't room on there to write, you suck. Right? There isn't room. Not that you would. But there's no room to write, you did it wrong. There's only room for when they did it right. So if they did it wrong, okay, like, help them out. But when they do it right, when they get close to doing it right, you want to mark that down. They want to really see that part of that sheet grow. All right, next. Okay, here you go, Nicosia. Sorry, I'll turn it off again so you can see. This is Darion's. You read research, or you look at the beginning of my presentation, and it says, hold on, it says, why do kids misbehave? Power, attention, but you're like, a kid's never going to say they just wanted attention. First this happened, then I chose to, this happened. I felt happy. I chose to run up and down the hallway. Notice how I circled it red. Because my teacher kept giving me work. You horrible person. I wanted, very clever spelling, to get attention from the teacher. Like, hello? It's that simple. But he just processed it. He spelled attention U-T-E-C-H-E-N.
It's really good.
It's phonetic. Yeah, very phonetic. Okay, but point being, the gig is up, D. And I actually just got a call from his football coach today, by the way. Okay, so the gig is up. He knows exactly why he did it. All right, next.
The teacher. This big box.
It's clearly...
That's me, obviously.
Let's move on. Don't you have another thing? Okay, he did the same thing. He rewrote it. Next. Who gave her a lollipop? Like, really?
It was laced.
Okay, and then he goes here. Next. This I want to turn your attention. Keep going. Okay, so this is Ramirez. Now, when they process, especially in the beginning, before you coach them into how to use social skills, they're going to give you what I'm about to show you is the wrong thing. So, I was playing with Kenny and I started play fighting with her. Again, we can start to circle words, pay attention to details. Play fighting is still right. Okay? Ba 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 ba. Because ba 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 ba. Go to the next one. Now, what part of the action did I need to change? Stop hitting girls. Okay. Right? But if you notice, next time I feel I won't hit, green social skill that you will start doing, he said, stop hitting girls. What's wrong with that?
You can still hit boys.
It's what you want to stop doing. It's not what you want to start doing. So if you notice on your sheet, on the bottom it says, action you want to start doing. So I had to reprocess with him. Stop hitting girls. That doesn't give me any information. What do you want to start doing? And what did he write? Walk away from fights and stand straight in line. Okay? So, very tricky question. Do we need a break or whatever? Or can I power through?
No, 10 minutes, go.
Power through. No way we get done. Okay, keep going. Next one. Next hole.
Like there's only 2 slides.
I know, I'm sorry. Alright, here we go. No, I'm sorry. I had no idea, guys. Alright. So this is the fun part. Keep going. Vocabulary quiz very quickly. I know I already did this with some of you, but just for effect. You guys are very smart. You're wonderful people. Quickly define these words. Just jot them down in the back of your packet. Uh-oh. Speaking of packet, where is the packet? Okay. Just pass these down, please. Quickly. Somebody raise their hand. Raise your hand. What is the first word?
Understand.
Just the... It's not understand. Pay attention.
I have no schema.
Okay, I said stop calling out. Just somebody define the word, guys. Okay. Woosah. What?
It's under business.
No, it's not. Define the word.
Oh, define it.
Right.
It means when you don't visit frequently.
No. Listen, like I know you think this is like super funny. Like, wait, listen.
It's under visioning.
Wait a minute. Yo, this guy, wise guy over here, you think this is funny? You think this is funny? We're in school. Stop talking. We're in
Under visioning.
I'm trying to teach you here. I'm trying to prevent the cradle to prison pipeline from coming true and making sure that you're not on the streets doing drugs and making sure. What did I forget to do? Does anyone know what the word is, by the way?
I don't remember.
No, because it's in another language. All 5 of these words are in different languages. I think one is Swedish, one is Israeli. I have no idea. I did it a lot of years ago. What these words mean, in case you wanted to know, was teaching helps students learn things. Oh! So what did I forget to do before I gave you the vocabulary quiz? I forgot to teach you the words. I am so stupid. Okay, so I forgot to teach you the definitions of the words. So how could you possibly meet my expected direction if you didn't know the content? Wasn't it hard? I was frustrated as a teacher because all I wanted you to do was give me the right answer. But I never taught you the right answer. So, ability is defined as the capacity to do or perform successfully. It's an acquired skill. Math, we get it. It's acquired. We do research on it all the time. We practice writing our lesson plans. Reading, we get it. You need to know how to read. We need to teach you. Behavior, they'll figure it out. Really? Guess what? If you're growing up in a family with 7 people and the only way to get someone's attention is to scream bloody murder, you are very smart. Because you learned what to do, you executed it, and it worked. Done. But we want a different skill in school. But we don't utilize our beautiful teaching skills to actually teach it. Right? We don't make time, we don't prioritize the time to actually teach these foundation things that kids need to access all the amazing instruction that you're doing. But we're going to change that. Next. So, we need to give them content. No. Go back. Ever wonder what your teacher is trying to get you to do? Okay, we still have time. I'm going to try and get here. Who wants to be my volunteer? Get up here, Megan. She's only saying that because I'm her mentor. Okay, so what I have here is a little challenge for Megan. Okay, this says start. Megan, come right over here. These are her steps to getting to the finish line. All right, Megan. You're calling out and screaming in class.
Got it.
Okay? All I want you to do is the right thing. Okay? Now you have to tell me exactly what that is. You have to tell me what you're going to do differently in order to take a step in the right direction. Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay.
So I'm calling out now.
So start calling out.
All right. So Miss Kendall.
You can't go. You haven't given me the right choice. Does everyone notice how these are green? Okay? Green indicates that she's done something productive with what I'm telling her. Okay? These, by the way, are pieces of information for her brain, which is going to be acted out by her body. Okay? So every time I throw one of these, it's something that I'm expecting her to process. This is a piece of information. Ready? Stop doing that! That's not what you're supposed to do! That's not the right thing to do! Why are you doing that? That's not right! Okay, did she move? Did she move? No. Are you glad you volunteered?
Sure am.
Okay. Okay. What if I said this? Stop calling out.
Miss Kendall.
Stop calling out.
Miss Kendall.
Stop calling
Miss
out.
Kendall.
Okay, what did I do? I said the content, calling out was the problem, but what did I say to stop calling out? I didn't tell her what to do, right? So these balls represent all of the information you're trying to give kids to process in order to do what you want. But, go to the next slide. Thank you. A round of applause for Megan. So, this and that, right? This is not what you're supposed to be doing. Great, Sherlock, what am I supposed to be doing? Right, okay, so that's not helpful. Naming the behavior also isn't helpful, right? So, just saying, stop running, stop fighting, stop yelling at each other, right? So we're naming the behavior, it isn't effective. Well, what is effective? Social skills. What is effective? Time management. Social skills are effective, right? So, I don't have it because it's somewhere in North Jersey, but I used to have a giant green ball, okay, and on the green ball, go to the next one, 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 boom, was this social skill, and it was tone of voice. And on the green ball were the steps to tone of voice. Megan, where are you? Come back up here.
In my room.
Good? No, it's okay. Okay, go stand on start. I shouldn't be wasting my time doing this, but it's my favorite part of the whole presentation. Okay? So Megan, I need you to use a proper tone of voice. Can you tell me how to use a proper tone of voice? What's the first thing you need to do?
Stop and think.
Good, take a step up. What do you need to stop and think about when you talk about tone of voice?
How does my voice sound?
Okay, so let's stop and think. How did your voice sound? Take another step up. What do you know about tone?
That low means go,
Okay?
and high means bye.
Right, so you're just using a really high tone right now, which means that I'm not going to want to listen to you. I'm going to want to say bye. Take another step up. Can you now use a low, calm tone of voice to ask me for what you want?
Miss Kendall, I have help.
Yes, you may. Alright! Alright, so as we see, when we give the actual skill, it's much easier to do things. Go. Go, go. No, I'm just kidding. Go back. Go. No, wait. Okay, stop. So, I was going to teach you guys the whole nice little lesson and blah, 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 and I'm going to give you like a piece of it. Sorry, I'm really bad at time management. But, the lesson plan I have, K to 2, you have one lesson plan, and then 3 to 6, you have another one. It's just developmentally a little different. So I'm gonna run through it though, just to give you an example. So the lesson, what you're gonna actually teach, because you're gonna teach the content of the skill. You're gonna have the skill, you're gonna have the steps, you're gonna have a little poster of it. Would be this. I write my objective on the board. Students will be able to identify the action skill steps for the social skill tone of voice. You can make it into a key question task if you want, right? You can make a rubric for it. But that's the objective. Here would be my lesson, right? Here's like my little lesson. All right, everybody, close your eyes. All right, boys and girls, close your eyes. Close your eyes. I want you guys, close your eyes here. I want you guys to pretend like you're in a jungle. There's tall, wet blades of grass everywhere, and the sun is beating down on your back. In the distance, wait, I hear something. Roar! What do you think that was? Somebody yell it out. What do you think that was?
A monkey.
A tiger or a monkey. What jungle you're in? Okay, oh my god, it might be a lion or a tiger or perhaps a possessed monkey. Okay, what are you feeling right now? Yell it out.
Scared.
Scared. What do you guys want to do? Run. Fight. Right? Oh. All right, let's everyone tap your feet. Let's run. Let's run away. Okay, we're safe. All right. Oh, wow. Whew, that was close. Oh, wait a second. I hear something. What might that be?
A hippo.
It sounded like the chick from Pet Sematary. Rachel!
All very good answers. Perhaps it's a kitten or someone from Pet Sematary. What do you want to, how do you feel?
Scared.
Scared? Well, yeah, I mean, I'm scared of kittens too. But sad. Thank you, Richards. We'll have a different kind of reward after this. Okay, I believe beverage. Okay, so you feel sad. What do you want to do? Help it. Let's all run towards the kitten except for Lowry. Oh, let's help it. All right, open your eyes. You guys are so mean. I can't, Mr. Murphy, I can't believe you. I know that lion and that kitten really well. And they both had the same problem. They were both sad. They stepped on a piece of glass and it went right into their paw. And they were both crying. I don't know why I'm so in North Jersey right now, by the way. They were both crying. But you ran away from the lion and you wouldn't even help it. Just left it there bleeding on the ground. And you ran right up to the kitten and wanted to help her. Why would you do that?
It sounded.
I like cats.
Another viable answer. Why?
The way it sounded.
The way it sounded, right? Now, they both might have been upset for the same reason. Okay, so this is where you would synthesize, right? So you're going to pass your talking stick around or whatever it is. Why? They both had the same problem, but their tone of voice was different, so it made you feel a different thing. Boom, now you're going to go into your teach. Okay, you're going to have your little poster up or however you want to do it. You're going to teach each step of the skill. So, first we have to stop and think. Everyone stop. And everybody stop, put your hand up. Stop. We're almost done, people. And think. How does my voice sound? Now, when one of your kids says, Miss Johnson, that's metacognition. Good job. Right? Okay. Low. This shows you how long ago I wrote this skill. I said on a radio. On an iPod or whatever. If you turn it low and the volume is lower, you're going to want to go to that person and help them like the kitten. But if the volume is high and it's in your face and it's too loud, you're going to want to put your hand out and say, bye-bye, right? Or like, not going to do it, sorry, don't care if you're not going near me, okay? And then we explain, we talk about it. Well, even if you're upset, Darian, if you're screaming in my face, I don't want to help you. You're a wonderful person, you might be upset for a very good reason. I'm still not going to help you if you're screaming in my face. And then you practice, just like we did in the beginning of this little workshop, right? You give them a chance to practice, going back and forth, using good tone and not so good tone. And then you perform, right? So this is their assessment. Can you name all 4 steps? Can you demonstrate them? Go to the next one. Okay, so you will get, keep going, all these skills. Keep going, just go through them. What they are 25 concrete social skills based on the executive functions of the brain. Okay, so helping kids stop impulse control. Helping them, go back to that slide in the very beginning that said the keep going, stop. Okay, so self skills, helping them self-regulate. Stop skills, helping them stop. Exactly what it sounds like. Simmer, helping them manage frustration. Solve, helping them problem solve, and then eventually strive, which would help them, create goals and get them. Keep going. Go, 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 go. Lesson plans. Go back. No, the lesson plans. There you go. So in your packet, I made like a neat little table where I said, and again, this only takes 10 at the least, 15, even if you have 20 minutes a day, 10 at the very least. In the morning, Monday, teach the skill. Right? Just teach the steps. Talk about it. You're going to have a lesson plan. I'll email it to you every week. Tuesday. This was my kid's favorite. I had a little basketball net that I walked around with. I would put the poster up. I would cover all the steps. Ready? And I'd be like, Rachel, tell me the first step to tone of voice.
Stop and think.
Good. Take a shot. Whoa! 1 point for the class. Richards, tell me the second step.
Check your body.
How does my voice sound? Take a shot. Woo! Good job. Now we have 2 as a team. By the way, does anyone see how I'm doing the shots? As a team. So now each week they're going to see if they can beat their team score. Right? Wednesday, I switched this on yours. You're going to do a scenario spin. This is great. Get a die, right? Or a block or whatever. And you're going to write different places. Cafeteria, classroom, outside in line, blah, blah. You roll it. It lands in the classroom. Great. Gorski, how can we use tone of voice in the classroom? Let's act it out the right way and the wrong way. They love the wrong way. Okay? Media madness. This was also my favorite. SpongeBob was the hippest thing. I would bring in on YouTube a 2-second clip of SpongeBob. They'd all be like, watching SpongeBob. Why? I'm not wasting instructional time at all. I'm going to ask them to analyze the clip of SpongeBob in reference to the skill tone of voice. And why wasn't Mr. Krabs effective in getting what he wanted? I'm waiting. Okay, right? And then you use something that they absolutely love, and then they'll start coming to you with ideas. They'll be like, oh, could we use WWE? How many people think that a clip of WWE would be appropriate in school? Absolutely is when you're talking about resolving a concern. My kids made it effective, and they get an amazing reason. Okay?
Can we show
and then
you?
what?
Can we do yours? Your clip?
No, you may not. Well, hey, you want to show me fighting in the cage? Go for it. But I'm not going to be there. Okay, go to the next one. Friday. This is my old kiddos. Keep going. That was him being me. Keep going. Okay, so portfolio pages is the last thing. How many times do you do assessments? A lot. Social skills, they're floofy, they don't matter, they're not academic. They can still be assessed. So on Fridays, I would do portfolio pages. We talked about the multiple intelligences and Gardner and how wonderful he was. And then I'd say, hey, you're smart in so many ways. Pick one and show me what you know. These are just a couple of examples. I have a ton more. If you're verbal linguistic, write a speech about why the social skill is more important. Next. I'm sorry, guys. Got rhythm? Write a rap. I got the coolest raps ever. Make a song. Next. Artistic corner. Do a poster. Do a cartoon strip. Maybe we'll put it on the wall of how to use the skill. More analytical. Maybe make a T-chart, compare and contrast, etc. All right. I'm sorry. I know I ran over. I apologize. Thank you guys for your attention and for the fact that I didn't give you a break. Have a good weekend. Oh, and
Sign out. A couple people forgot to sign in. You sign in and you sign out.